It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
With Gordon Hayward joining the Charlotte Hornets this offseason, this marks the third big-name free agent leaving the Boston Celtics in the past 2 years. While each of them had their own reason to leave, Hayward's departure stings the most since they didn't have the cap space to look for a replacement. Their decisions are pretty surprising, with the franchise reputation of building championship teams. But this begs the question of what's happening behind the scenes that we don't know. So let's get into what I think could be the issue. When all the Gordon Hayward rumors happened, I thought it was a leverage play to get a bigger payday from the Celtics. Had he opted into the player option, he'll be joining a stacked free agent class next year, which wouldn't bode well being in his early 30s and his injury history. He wouldn't be on anyone's top free agency list, so his extension would be like $15 million at most. Competitive teams probably won't have that type of money to offer, so a Celtics lowball offer could be what he's facing next year. That tendency and expertise of getting players on cheaper deals is what we're focusing on today. Danny Ainge has been one of the best GMs in the league. Ever since he took over in 2003, the Celtics have only been under 500 for 5 out of his 17 seasons. That's even more impressive when you consider Celtics went through a rebuilding phase in the middle of his tenure. One of the ways he's been able to do that is getting players to outplay their contracts. He has no control over how well players play or how they develop, but he can control how much he pays them, so getting them on cheap contracts lowers the bar of expectation and increases the chance of players outplaying their contract value. Just think of Steph Curry's first deal after his rookie contract. His $12 million per year deal made him a bargain and also helped the Warriors build a super team. Ainge never had a player of Curry's caliber, but did really well with his starters and role players. First one that comes to mind is Jay Crowder. He was able to extend him to a 5-year $35 million contract that only ended this offseason. He developed into a hard-nosed 3-and-D guy and became a valuable trade chip as part of the Kyrie deal. A more recent example is Marcus Smart. A lot happened during Smart's free agency, like how he believes he's worth more than $14 million a year, rumors about other teams could offer upwards of $18 million a year, and being seen in public with Nets executives. In the end, the Celtics retained him on a 4-year $50 million contract. It starts at $11 million and rises a little each year, but we gotta remember the salary cap inflation as well. Now Smart is one of the league's highly touted defenders, despite his below average track record as a shooter. The whole narrative would be different if he's making something like $16 million a year. Danny Ainge's ability to retain players on lowball offers is a gift, but also a curse at the same time. Look at how successful the Celtics have been throughout these years, but it could lead to a disgruntled player who wants a bigger payday. Fortunately, the Celtics haven't kept these players long enough to face these situations yet. They shipped Crowder away in the middle of his contract, while Smart is heading into his 3rd year of his contract. It's only a matter of time these type of offers start coming back to haunt them. The most recent example is PJ Tucker, who has been outspoken about his contract. His impact and value to the Rockets' small ball is worth more than $8 million per year. His bargain contract allowed the Rockets to build a contender, but there's only so much a player could handle. This is what happened with the likes of Al Horford and Gordon Hayward. Yeah, the Celtics did give them max contracts to join the team, but when their contracts ended, Horford was gonna turn 33 and Hayward 30. Both players were seeking long-term contracts with a decent amount of money, probably upwards of $20 million per year. That is a complete opposite to a move that Ainge is used to make. Giving $20 million per year to Horford, where his contract will end when he's 37, only ensures a deflation of his value. Hayward was slightly younger, but probably wanted more money, which is even riskier with his injuries. I've referred to something like this in my previous Hornets video on Rozier's contract. Around $19 million per year for him is pretty steep, especially with his production in his first 4 years. He had a great season last year, but that only helped him get closer to meeting his contract value. To be successful in the NBA, GMs need to surround their stars with players who will outplay their contract value, not attempting to reach it. The point is, there's a trade-off when Danny Ainge does this, and that's having players who's upset with the contract situation, or retaining core players hitting the 30s becomes very difficult. Moving on to the next point, Ainge has been great at extracting value from his players before they decline. The prime example is that heist with Brooklyn Nets, where KG and Paul Pierce were at the twilights of their career and flipped them for future assets. Of course, we all know how much of a success it was by getting both Brown and Tatum. The trade-off for this is straight up loyalty and respect. I mean, Paul Pierce became a legend after winning a ring and spending his whole career in Boston up until that trade. There's something really special regarding a player staying with one franchise for their whole career, like what Kobe and Dirk did with their respective franchises. Ainge hasn't let that emotional ties affect him, and parted ways with any player as long as the price is right. Isaiah Thomas is a prime example. He established himself as a fan favorite after getting traded to Boston. What he went through during the 16-17 playoffs was heartbreaking, whether it was injuries or the tragic passing of his sister, but he still played his ass off and led the Celtics to conference finals. Throughout that season, he was talking about how the Celtics need to back up the Brinks truck in the following offseason. Despite all of that and playing through injury, he was shipped off to the Cavs in a deal for Kyrie. I completely get it. I mean, I would rather have Kyrie as well, but what do players think about their value in the organization? There must be some bad blood where Thomas wouldn't want to return to the Celtics. Before I pull all of this together, Ainge has been robbing other GMs through trades during his tenure, whether it's the 2 Thomas trades, the KG Paul Pierce heist, or the trade down to get Tatum. You do enough of these, and other teams start to get wary about their trades. Just look at what Masai Ujiri has done to James Dolan and the Knicks. Ujiri fleeced them in the Melo trade, which actually led the Knicks to turn down a Kyle Lowry trade. Anyways, even GMs and owners have been taken aback by Danny Ainge, so how do you think players feel about him? It's all fun and games when you're a free agent from another team, and you join the Celtics on a max contract. No matter how their stints pan out, Ainge will be able to find some leverage, either to get you on a slight discount or flipping you for better value. When Hayward and Horford signed with the Celtics, the hardworking and the heart and soul of the Isaiah Thomas-led team was a huge factor in their decisions. After getting Kyrie, Horford publicly stated how players like Thomas and Crowder were a big reason of why he joined the Celtics. It's human nature for people to feel wanted, valued, or respected, but these type of moves aren't exactly giving off that sort of vibe. Now don't get me wrong, I'm sure Ainge is a great human being, but he's got a job to do. His one goal is to make moves that benefits his team and build a championship. He's doing exactly that, and also a reason why he's one of the longer tenured GMs right now. All of the moves that Ainge has made, even I would do it 10 out of 10 times. If you looked at his moves or non-moves, like not resigning Horford, they all benefited the Celtics franchise. The trade-off is that he won't be in the good books of some players, but that's absolutely fine if the team is heading in the right direction. That's what keeps him employed, compared to someone like Ernie Grunfeld. His time as the Wizards GM should have ended a lot earlier, and those massive contracts to John Wall and Otto Porter really limited what the Wizards could do. Compare these two franchises and GMs, which one do you want? So to answer the video title, no, there's nothing wrong with the Celtics. They didn't think the price is right with players like Horford and Hayward. Both of them got their bags, but it's hard to see them exceed their contract value. Sure, the Celtics lost core pieces, but they didn't risk handicapping themselves in building around their young star duo. I guess the only hiccup is not getting better value for Hayward when they had the chance. I mean, getting a package of Miles Turner and Doug McDermott would be better, but that huge trade exception would give them flexibility to add to their capped out core. You can also argue that they didn't improve an Eastern Conference rival, while Hayward got massively overpaid, which deflates his production and a Celtics loss. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. This is just my take on their whole situation. Let me know what you guys think about the Celtics situation, and whether there are other aspects that I haven't covered or considered. Make sure to drop a like down below, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time.